Hey guys, it's Ted Bogert. Welcome back to the Ted Show. I am so excited to have this young man on. I've been trying to get Matt Hodge, the one and only Matt Hodge, on the Ted Show for a long time. He's busy, but he's also one of the nicest, kindest, most amazing human beings I know, and I mean that from the heart. He is going to share his journey with us, talk a little bit about real estate, and we're going to talk about thinking big. Thinking
Yeah.
big. What does it even mean to think big? Welcome, Matt Hodge. How are you today, buddy?
Hey man, thanks so much, Ted, for having me on the show. Very excited to be here with you, and what an honor, man, to be on the TED show, man.
On the TED Show. Listen, he's got not only a voice, a face for radio, but a face for video. So he meets all of the characteristics. But I've known Matt for a long time, and he is just as genuine and wonderful in person if you meet him. So I want you guys to get to know him. So Matt, I told you before we went live that the audience absolutely loves an origin story. They kind of want to understand how it is you came into the world that you're into now. So
Yeah.
give us a little 411 on the background of Matt Hodge.
So I have pretty much been in real estate my entire life. My father grew up with real estate and building a portfolio, and I grew up, cleaning out rentals and stuff like that from his that he owned. And so he was from Aruba. He came to the United States, and so as what probably a lot of people do, they what they're good at, they kind of put into their children. So my brother also has like a master's in real estate development. My sister's an interior designer. So we all like to take the profession in real estate, and so it's been a lifelong journey of real estate. And where it kind of overlaps for me is I was working in the telecommunications industry for quite some time, and really developed a passion for helping people grow. And so being able to utilize that was something that I was born in, just kind of became natural. And so that's when I made the full jump over to real estate. And so that's how I got to where I am today.
So tell me, and I love that because telecommunications, I think everybody and their brother dabbled in that over time.
Right.
But
Right.
what was it about real estate that was attractive to you? Most kids, when they see, like my kids would never want to do what I do. They tell me this all the time. So what was it about how your dad did it, how your family was doing it that was attractive, that said, you know what, I love this, or I love the lifestyle, or I love what this brings our family? What was it about real estate?
It definitely wasn't a lifestyle, man. I mean, like it's not necessarily always that glamorous,
It's
if,
not.
if you're doing the work
No,
behind the
not
scenes,
guys.
you
It
know,
is
the
not
closings
not
are.
lifestyles of the rich and famous. That's for sure.
Right, right. So it takes a lot of effort to get to those kind of small snippets of the glamour. But, it was because we came here with nothing, and it was a path to build generational wealth. And there's so many people that can really change their lives from, making smart real estate decisions. Even if you're not a real estate agent or you have no interest, that really kind of helps a lot of people. So that was something that was really near and dear to me. And I saw it as a way to help people do something that, I guess kind of remove that glass ceiling that exists and help them in that arena. So that was kind of the passion piece for me. But again, it was because, we came here with nothing. We built from the ground up, and that was kind of like passing the mantle. And so I had to find a way to be passionate about what I do, and figure out how to way to also make money.
Well, I mean, that's the other thing. And you mentioned it's not all glamorous, but it does afford us more of a flexible lifestyle, I think, than the 9 to 5. And it also allows us the wealth building is limitless. I mean, the market obviously can
Correct.
sometimes deter that. But as far as your energies and your efforts and what you do, it's so much a product of how you work and what you work in and how you do your business. So I want to ask you, you work with your brother, who I got
Right.
to meet. I was very honored to be a guest on your radio program. I loved every second of it. You got it down to a science, which I am jealous of, but you did such a great job engaging everyone. But I got to meet your brother and your sister-in-law, I believe. And
Yeah.
so what's that like? What's it like working with family? I feel like family can either be my wife, Stacy, as you know, you can tell that story. Matt knows Stacy, but Stacy worked in my business for me, as she would say, until I fired her because it just was not working out. And
Yeah.
she was actually working more hours than I was, but that is another story. Tell us what it's like to work with family.
So thankfully it's been really nice. My brother and I have a great relationship. We know each other's kind of hot buttons and we know how to, kind of navigate that. We're both very aware of that. And I think just kind of growing up, always having to lean on some level of responsibility on each other in a business perspective has kind of prepared us for this moment. I can definitely see how it would be disastrous if we did not kind of have some of those, lifelong lessons, because you spend a lot of time with each other and you have to agree on certain things, and that strains a lot of parts of the relationship. But it's been good, man. He's so smart. He's so nimble on his feet, and he's so kind to work with that it makes it easy. So if we are seeing not eye to eye on something, like, we know how to navigate that, and that's usually the biggest concern. And so it's been really great, man.
It's interesting to me because, like I said, Stacy worked in the office, and it was so helpful. It's so wonderful to have somebody that you can 100% trust, even if you don't
Yep.
see eye to eye. And I can see the advantages to that. But you definitely have to have that give and take. You have to have the relationship has to be open enough where you can share when you're frustrated, because no relationship is 100% perfect.
Right.
Man
Right.
and wife, spouse and spouse, brother and brother. You definitely have to you have to be able to be open. And I think that the communication is so important. We'll get back to Stacy in a little bit. Talk about the think big, because I love this topic. I love that thought process. And you got to choose anything you wanted to talk about today, but that was the title you chose. And why?
Yeah. Think big, so with my current kind of endeavors, as you know, I'm working with Robert Palmer and kind of launching this LPT Realty company. And the company is founded basically on that. For so long, the industry has interacted in one specific way. And anyone who's come and kind of added some flavor to that, it's just been the same exact thing over and again. And so we've just been thinking big, like, hey, if we could really change this industry, if we this one little speck of a dot company, that's on the map right now, if it can grow enough to the point where it influences an entire industry to think differently, to interact differently, what would happen? What would it look like? What would we do? And so, we have that very big goal. Like, when we talk about it, I mean, we talk like we're already international, like we're in every country in the world. But it's our vision, man. Our vision really is, we believe that the real estate industry is broke. We believe the relationship between the realtor and the brokerage is broken. I don't believe there's a real partnership there for so many reasons we won't necessarily have to get into today. But so that was our mission. Hey, think big, man. If you wanted to change an industry, how would you do it? And it starts by putting one foot in front of the other. But that's kind of our thought process. And even to our agents who have had the opportunity to come to some events that they may not have had access to before, or tools that they haven't had access to, it's about thinking about how to utilize a bigger platform that you haven't had. Always starts at the point of thinking bigger than what you can today.
I think what's interesting about the model, right? So you've probably heard, because people are going to ask me, and might as well ask you. You've heard that we have a model, something that came in and just disturbed. I like the word disturbed when it's talking
Mm-hmm.
about status quo, disturbing everything, getting up, stirring it up. Let's figure out a different way to do it. So disturbed is not a negative word as far as I'm concerned. So there's been other market players who have come in previously. What's different about LPT? I'm fascinated to hear your perspective, because I think you'll get asked that a lot. I guarantee you people are going to pop on and ask a lot of questions about why is it different, Matt. So give them a little
Yeah.
bit of a little insight into that.
So, the main thing is that, one, we've created a flexible comp plan that allows you to move depending on where you are in your career. It allows you to kind of pick the place that makes most sense for you, and that starts, with the 100% comp plan. There's other models where, let's say, in order to get access to some of the benefits of a downline or revenue sharing or things like that, you may have to be at a cap that you are not ready for quite yet, or it doesn't make sense for your personal business, but you're making that sacrifice because you'd like that, access to that tool. And so what we've done is we've made a scaling, I guess, comp model where you can come in at 100% brokerage and kind of build your business up. And that can be really important where someone is, starting off with their business, or where those marketing dollars are really, really important. And every dollar you have to put back in is so important. And then maybe you get a little bit further on where you've had a little bit more success, and then you can afford to make that investment into some of the other tools or some of the other comp plans. And so that's really kind of the first step of saying, hey, let's be in one brokerage where you're not too big or you're not too small. I started off in a different brokerage, and at a point, my team got too big where it no longer made financial sense for us to be there. And that doesn't make a lot of sense, right? So your most successful people, it creates attrition. Or you have other people who are struggling, and so they can no longer afford to be there. And so then it creates another level of attrition. So we thought about, how can we streamline that entire process where you have a brokerage for life? We partner with you no matter what stage of your career that you're in, and we provide you the real tools that you need to get to that next step. And again, everyone's going to define success differently. We're not here necessarily to do that, but we do want to just kind of tear down those walls that have traditionally trapped people in a specific part of their career that may be difficult to climb out of. So that's kind of what fundamentally why I think we're a little bit different. And then the other part of it is that we are giving people access to tools that they absolutely have not had access to in the past. As you know, Robert Palmer, the founder of the company, when you look at how he's built his business, it's been through radio, it's been through billboards, it's been through TV commercials, and and so he is literally making the investment to give his agents those tools. And it's it's at a flat fee brokerage model, which is just insane. So partnership is real. We put real dollars on the line. It's not fake money. It's a real investment that we're making into our people to help them be successful. And we believe that's going to be the winning strategy to help people really grow their careers.
God, you're so good at this. It's like you have your own show, Matt. So two things Robert's definitely a visionary of
right.
No matter whatever your thought process is on business owners like Robert, he's a visionary. And so when I spoke to him, I must say that listening to how this all developed and what his thought process was. And I do remember the time where he was thinking about things along this line. And so I think it's super important for people to understand that this wasn't a fly by night, all of a sudden, hey, guess what? I'm going to do something different. And then you just threw it together and launched it. It's completely different. Right. So I want you guys to reach out to Matt. A lot of you have reached out to me for questions. And so I really, really want you to take this opportunity because Matt is just as wonderful to talk to in person and about business as he is here. The other thing is that I feel like the model allows you to meet people where they are, which you sort of alluded to earlier. Everybody's at a different phase. Everybody's experienced something different. The market's in yet another shift, which I want to talk about in a minute. I feel like things are changing and people have different opinions on how that goes. People have experienced different brokerages, and there's boutique and there's larger and there's rev share and there's all this stuff out there. And it's becoming a little more difficult to figure out how to maneuver through that and what move you want to make. And what I love about the model is that Robert and his team and you all have created a model where you can meet them where they need to be met. And so there's room for growth. Let's talk about the market. Let's talk about what's going on because we get tons of questions about this. What do you see, Ted? How do you see it? So Matt, you've been around long enough to know, even though in my eyes, you're still young. And what do you see? What do you see in the market? How are we going to finish out 2022?
So I think that, this inflation battle is real. And we know that the Fed's one of the main tools that they're going to pull on is the interest rate to kind of try to get things back in line, which maybe not necessarily be a terrible thing, right? When you have 50 offers on every house, that after a while kind of can destroy the market from the other side. So I think that we're going to see that kind of dissipate a bit. I don't believe that the market's going to go backwards. I don't believe that we're going to see any retracement in pricing. I think that people who were pricing their homes aggressively. So the way that I think about it is, let's say your house is worth $300,000 and you're like, hey, in 2 months from now, it's going to be worth $305,000. So I'm going to price my home today $305,000 because I know by the time it closes, it's going to be X and people are willing to pay up. I think that mentality shifts a little bit. I think we have to get a little bit more sensitive to pricing it today, pricing it right. And I think that inventory starts to resurge. I think that comes back on the market. There's early signs of showing that April was kind of the bottom where we saw that start to grow again. That's right in line with interest rates moving up. And so I think that's where we land. I think demand starts to cool a little bit. I think macro, nationally, you'll see that Central Florida, you may still see a little bit more demand because it's such a wonderful place to live and so many people moving here. And, affordability is still pretty much in line. But either way, I think that long story short is I think that demand slows down a little bit. I think inventory gets a little bit more normal, and we move away from only having 23 days of inventory, and maybe that gets back to a healthier spot.
You can see it. Like I'm seeing price reductions or whatever the creative terminology is for that,
Right.
marketing terminology. I'm
Price
seeing
adjustments.
yes, price adjustments just for you. But I understand that it's a marketing thought process. I'm also seeing open houses again, which
Right.
we haven't seen for so long because I think there is a shift. But I don't want people to get scared of the shift. I want people to embrace the shift and just try to. You want to get with a professional. That's why it's so important to work with somebody who you know and like and trust that understands the market, because it is shifting, but that doesn't mean it's shifting in a bad way necessarily. We just have to figure out the tools and what we want to do and maybe shift our perspective on how we're going to grow with it, or we're going to actually address it and try to handle it and figure it out. New realtors who come in, good time, bad time, and either way, what's your advice to them? Because I get this question asked a lot. Ted, what would
Yeah.
you do? I'm thinking about getting my real estate license. I'm thinking about doing more in real estate. So I always love to get a professional's perspective on that.
Yeah, I mean, that when the market is hot, right? Everyone sees it as glamorous, and everyone thinks they're going to come in and make $1 million a year. And so there's an influx of people who are maybe entering into the market, maybe not always for the right reason. Maybe it's not because they have a passion or a true desire for it. They're just like, hey, it looks like free, fun money. And so for that person, I would say, yeah, it's gonna be pretty difficult. Anytime there's a market shift, you're having to change tactics. Maybe your marketing approach was for buyers before, and now it's going to have to shift to listings or vice versa, depending on whatever side of the market that you're on. And that transition can be difficult for some people if you don't really understand what you're doing. And genuinely, when you look at there's a pretty big percentage of people who fail within the first couple of years in real estate. Fail, meaning that they can't support themselves solely off of just real estate. It usually is around those times when the market is changing. And when you understand the game, hey, it's a seller's market, it's a buyer's market, you know what to do. But when it's that in between and you're threading that needle all to the other side, it can be a little bit more difficult for people. But I think, again, if you have a passion for it, you're passionate for helping people, you're finding something in it other than just trying to make a quick buck, you're going to have the motivation. You come to a company like LPT, and there's a ton of other real estate brokerages. It's not like we're the only people, but obviously I love our model. But you get with someone who can guide you and walk you through the process and what you should be looking at, where you should be placing your energy, and you're going to be okay.
Agreed. All right, Matt Hodge, see how fast that goes. Tell us how we can best find you. What's the best way we can find out more about you and LPT and everything else that you're doing in our world?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can always reach out to us. You can go to lpt.com. You can email me. It's matt.hodge@lpt.com. Do we give out phone numbers? Is that how that works?
You sure can if you want.
Okay, yeah. Or tell you what, you can look me up on social media. That's probably the easiest way. And DM me if you have a question about it. We're always doing fun events, LPT socials, which are basically events where people get to know us and get to know each other, and really just a place for people to network again in a different type of setting. So if you have questions, would love for you to reach out and be here to be a resource for you.
You're a joy, my friend. And just to give, because I know I'll get questions later if I don't address it, Stacy was Matt's 5th grade teacher. So my wife was Matt Hodge's 5th grade teacher. Not to date her, but wow, that is such a small world thing. I think the world of you. You're a joy. You are always honest and upfront. I love that. I love that about people. And I love that you are on a mission to change things, to think big. And I think that is critical right now. We're going to see a shift of a lot of people out of our industry as a whole, which I'm super excited about, to be honest. But I know you're going to stick with it forever because you're the real deal. So thank you for being on the show.
Thanks so much, man. I appreciate you having me on today so much.
Always. All right, guys, reach out, mhodgerealty.com, or you can find them all over social media. We'll see you guys soon. Bye, everybody.